you had Francis saying to the German bishops in particular, we cannot bless same-sex unions because the dogmatic teachings of the Church, the Universal Catholic Catechism, continues to say that homosexual desire is disordered. It is against nature. Now, it's obvious that there are all sorts of people in the hierarchy of the Roman Catholic Church that turn a blind eye to the issue of homosexuality because there are so many homosexuals in the leadership of the Roman Catholic Church. That's not even, that's like questionable. The pink mafia, scarlet mafia, whatever you want to call it. The fundamental denial of biblical teaching regarding sexuality and marriage and the goodness of marriage in the tradition that developed over time within Roman Catholicism of a celibate priesthood, which itself is a completely unbiblical office, has destroyed Rome's ability to really address homosexuality in a meaningful fashion. But Francis clearly, on a personal theological level, has stated over and over again, he's talked about how God makes people in a certain way and God loves you as you are, and who am I to judge? There is a vast chasm between what had been the worldview foundation within Roman Catholicism that allowed a meaningful statement to be made about homosexuality, that allowed, even from a natural law perspective, for there to be something in regards to an understanding of the created order. Enough biblical truth fighting its way through the incrustation of tradition to say what needed to be said. But that's breaking down. It's breaking down not just because of the centuries and centuries of denial of sola scriptura, but because since the 1940s, there's been such an influx of what is now called progressive leftist liberalism in the hierarchy of the Roman Catholic Church, that the foundations for even understanding Rome's claims of authority have been fundamentally changed. And I think a number of my Roman Catholic friends might not want to admit this, but you understand exactly what I'm saying. And you've seen it, and it bothers you. Francis has filled the College of Cardinals with like-minded individuals. So if he resigns, if he dies, whatever the situation might be, his successor, in all probability, will continue this trajectory away from any meaningful expression of the historical claims of Rome, at least back to the 1200s, in regards to the primacy of the Roman bishop and the idea of an infallible authority. All of this brought to our attention by the fact that the Vatican told those German bishops, no, you can't bless same-sex marriages. And those German bishops were saying, we're going to do it anyways. There is, in effect, a schism taking place. And some people wondered, well, why didn't Francis just go with what Francis has indicated his beliefs are? Well, that leads us to 3 days ago. I was just heading to bed when I saw a news alert thing. And it was about the Pope and Father Martin. Now, I don't know how many years ago I first ran into the Jesuit writings of Father Martin, but he is a strong advocate of LGBTQ causes within Roman Catholicism, which, the Jesuits, it's funny when you look at their history, how they started, what they were, why they came into existence as a counter-Reformation movement, and now how they have been turned into this absolutely leftist organization, just so far out there that it's hard to even begin to conceive of where they're coming from. But anyway, everybody knows where Martin stands, and everybody knows that he wants to see a change in the church's teachings in regards to the nature of homosexuality. That would require a repudiation of previous infallible statements, and hence a fundamental reorganization of Rome's claims of authority. But a couple days ago, he releases, my understanding is, a handwritten letter in Spanish from Pope Francis to Martin. And, it's not long. This is not a theological tome. This is not an infallible statement. And so all the folks who just love papal infallibility, okay, I said it. It's not an infallible statement. We all get that. He's not saying I define and propose and announce for the faithful to believe, blah, blah. I get it. Okay? He's probably not going to do that about anything. But what it does demonstrate very clearly is that Pope Francis does not believe that a rejection of the church's teachings on this central subject constitutes any kind of unfaithfulness toward the Roman Catholic Church. He commends Martin and his ministry to the LGBTQ community. This is someone who really, I can't see how Francis has rejected Rome's authority to teach on these issues. He really has. But for Francis, not necessarily a big deal. Now, you put together everything that he has said in real life, the actions that he's taken, and it seems inarguable that Francis does not believe what the Apostle Paul taught in Romans chapter 1. He does not believe what he taught in 1 Corinthians chapter 6. He does not believe what he taught when he wrote to Timothy. He just doesn't believe these things. Now, I'm sure he has a way of explaining all of that and doctrinal development. And, there's always some way around it. But it just strikes me that for any person who seriously believes that there is the necessity to have the office of the papacy, the Bishop of Rome, as the as the final authority, you have to look at this and you just have to go, this doesn't work. This man does not believe what those who came before him believe. And to run off to the, yeah, but he won't teach it. God will keep him from teaching it. That some of you remember back in the late 90s, early 2000s, might have been 2000 itself. Don't remember which one it was. I debated both Tim Staples and Robert Sungenis on papal infallibility, and they were two completely different debates. Because Sungenis basically said, that was in the year 2000, okay. Sungenis basically said that popes can be heretics. And so popes can believe heretical things, but they won't teach heretical things. Now, I find that excuse to be completely worthless as having explanatory power, and certainly you must realize how worthless it is as far as having any meaning in grounding your faith. And I'm talking to believing Roman Catholics. How empty is it for you to say, well, yeah, Francis could be a heretic, but God's just not going to let him teach his heresy to the whole church. So God has the sovereign power to keep someone from preaching heresy to the church, but he doesn't have the sovereign power to keep that guy from being elected pope, the vicar of Christ on earth, the Holy Father. How does that work? I don't know. Papal infallibility is the most empty, worthless thing that I can even think of. Because no matter how you slice it, what it comes down to is the Pope is always infallible except when he's not. That's what it means. Because if the Pope teaches something that later centuries determined was an error, like Honorius did, if the Pope teaches something in error, then he wasn't teaching infallibly. But the point is, during the lifetime of that Pope, no one knows one way or the other. Nobody knows. Francis might be identified as an anti-pope 500 years from now. But you can't know that right now. Can you? You can't. So what good is this system of yours? Because when I first started dealing with Roman Catholics, man, all the time, hey, we've got the Pope. Because you had a stable, relatively consistent Pope. Now you don't. And all of a sudden, Catholic apologists are now talking about the great tradition and the sense of the faithful and all these other things, because you've got your foundation's shifting sand. Your foundation is shifting sand. That's just all there is to it. So Francis is shining a light on all of this. He's shining a light on it, as well he needs to, as well he should. That's why, again, when I hear about people thinking about converting Roman Catholicism, I just go, okay, I understood it years ago, but have you given any thought at all to what Francis is demonstrating as far as the claims of Roman Catholicism? I don't know what people are converting to, but there you go. Francis just keeps giving more and more and more examples to us of how far out in the ozone layer